Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Pro Cycling Manager 2020 Women's Tour, Episode 11. We're at the beginning of season number 2. Really excited for this because, well, it's good and bad as we go to begin this season. Let's start with the good news. We have 12 objectives during the part of the season that matters. I'd say there's a good half of them are low enough in importance where they won't matter so much. But a good 6 of them are going to matter. 5 or 6. But the really good news on this is that 11 of the 12 are top 10 finishes. They are far more achievable than the long list of stage win requirements that we had a season ago. So that's fantastic news. I think this season, I'm aiming for more than just sink or swim. I'm going to be aiming for success. I don't think we can hit super success. We just don't have the team for it. But I'm aiming. I'm going to try to get that 65% evaluation, which is going to bring us another 12,000 a month. Not a drastic increase, but we actually already have plenty of budget still to play with, and that would just improve that matter. So lots of top 10s, far more achievable goals. I think this could be a good season here in season number 2, or at least be able to match what we did last season, which a 50% evaluation is certainly acceptable. Second piece of good news is how drastically better we are this season than we were at the start of last season. Last season, our top rider was Summer Moak. She was a 61 overall at the beginning of January. 61. That was our top rider. Right now, all but 4 of our riders on this year's team, all but 4 are already above that mark. Significantly better than where we were, including a couple riders at the top who were better than when we signed them. Vanderpeet was a 67 at the time we signed her. She's now a 69. Donadin was a 66 at the time we signed her. She's now a 67. So we're already seeing riders make that jump. Summer Moak. Erica Klaus. There we go. Erica Klaus was a 62 when we ended last season. She's now a 64, so she has improved. So we're seeing movement in the right direction. More than that, let's run through the riders real quick. Remember last season, there really was only 1 or 2 riders with moderate potential. The rest of the team had very low potential. 2.5 was all we could manage for all but a couple of riders, or even 1.4 for many of them. Vanderpeet, 3.6. It isn't fantastic, but it's moderate. Just 18. So even though she's a 69 already, significantly better than the rest of the team, that means she will easily push into mid-70s by the time she's done. Not a superstar in the making, but for us, huge acquisition. And well worth it because the potential is there to bring her quite a bit higher than she is. Brookshire, this was the one we knew we were getting our hands on that wasn't going to be fantastic. Brookshire, low potential, but I already knew that. This was a temporary fill-in. She's on a short-term contract, just 2 seasons, I think it is, and helping us as a support climber. Good recovery, at least. We re-signed Klaus. Klaus is one of those 2.5s. Here's Clavenger, 3.5. 26 already, though, won't improve a whole lot from where she's at. But still, better than what we had. Donadin, 19 years old, 5.8 potential. That's already significantly better than everything we had. Stage race type, and a 67 right now. Total unknown this Italian, but wow, what a difference. I mean, this blows away everything we had last season by a very wide margin, and this is a rider we want to hang on to long term. Mamalenti, 4-5 potential, 19 years old, 64, puncher, can contribute, can develop. Marie, 4-7 potential. Maxwell, 4-7 potential. Miucci, 4-7 potential. Only a 60, but with that kind of potential, certainly will develop. Okay, Summer Moak, there's one of our holdovers, 1-4 potential. But this was almost the whole team last season. And she's added a few points. She was a 61, now a 64. O'Neill, there's kind of that last just domestique, isn't going to get too many races, isn't going to do much for us. We're waiting for that contract to expire. Passerini, 5-8 potential. Only a 62, but 5-8 potential. Lots and lots of growth coming out of this rider. Schmid, another one from last year. There's your other two, or your second of the two that had higher potential, 4-7. Only a 60 though, but came from like a 56 or something like that already, so is growing. Shear, got a couple more years out of Merritt, our best climber from a year ago. Top Perez, decent potential. Okay, so it was 3 that had better than 2.5. Top Perez was the other one. Just a 59, and that 3.6, contract expiring this year. Probably not going to get re-signed. Probably not. But just 18, we'll see. If she has a really good development season, if she gets to a 64 or better, maybe we bring her back. But what a difference. What a difference. I'm so excited by the huge increase in potential and huge increase in current quality of the squad compared to a year ago. But I said there was good news, bad news. Here's the bad news. Despite the massive improvement from a season ago, there were 85 teams. We were the 85th team. We were horrendously bad. We've improved a lot. But actually, that improvement is still marginal. Our index at the end of the year, 80th. So we moved up. We're not in the cellar anymore, but we're still in the gutter. 80th of 85. Only a slight improvement from where we were. Okay. So as big as the improvement was for us, compared to everybody else, we're still really, really bad. But remember, we had literally no reputation, and we were so bad that we weren't generating reputation. So it was hard to sign quality riders. Despite that, we still managed to improve pretty significantly. And for those who are Formula One fans, this is how I compare this. Last season, we were Williams of 2 seasons ago. And George Russell's my example that I'm going to use for this one. George Russell outqualified Robert Kubica every single race of the season. He beat Robert Kubica in all but 2 or 3 races of the season. And in all of those races, there was something behind why Kubica finished ahead of him. An extra pit stop made by the team needlessly. Like on that one occasion in Germany where Kubica got 10th and Russell was 11th. It was an extra pit stop late. Russell was like 50 seconds ahead of Kubica. And then there was a safety car. And then they were all pulled together. And then they pit Russell, but didn't pit Kubica. And then there was like 3 laps left. And Kubica managed to hold off Russell for 3 laps. And then everybody's like, oh, Kubica got a point. Russell didn't. Oh, he was beaten. He's been so good all year, but he was beaten. Anyway, they've done the same sort of thing this year. Tactical decisions that have cost him. Of course, crashing behind the safety car this season, that was his own thing. Yeah, Imola, I'll give you that one. But anyway, Russell, new teammate, Latifi, he's done the same thing this season. He's outqualified him every race, been very dominant. But here's the real point, okay? Last season, 20 cars on the grid. Williams were so far off the pace, so horribly far off the pace, that they finished virtually every practice session, every qualifying, every race, 19th and 20th, unless there was DNFs. 19th and 20th. That Germany thing, that was because at the end of it, there was only 13 cars that even finished, and then 2 of them ended up being relegated because of a whole nother matter and basically a false start in the wet. The Alfa Romeos. Now, they were lapped again and again. They were so slow. They were just battling each other, and Russell was dominating that battle. But they were horribly slow compared to every other team. Now, they're still really slow this year, but they've improved. They've improved significantly. Some people argue that they're now faster than Alfa Romeo and Haas, and that's not a bad argument considering the engine that those cars have. I would argue that those cars are still slightly faster than the Williams, or at least as fast as the Williams. I think a certain driver, George Russell, is just that good. And by the way, you're watching this at a time that the weekend is already starting. I'm recording this a couple days ahead of time. It hasn't happened yet, but I can't wait for this weekend because George Russell, he's not in the Williams this weekend. He's in Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion's seat, because he's got COVID. He's a Mercedes driver. He's getting promoted to the senior team for this weekend, possibly the next one. I can't wait to see how he could do. But expectations need to be metered. He's been in a very slow car, difficult to handle car. He's going to have time to get used to this car. He's not going to get much time. Though the layout for Bahrain this weekend, is going to be manageable. Some people are calling it an oval with, air quotes. I've got air quotes going too. I wouldn't call it a pure oval, but it's it's like Austria. It's going to be an easy track compared to normal. Anyway, they are more competitive this season. Even Latifi is occasionally above the back of the grid. He's still towards the back, but he's competing with cars. Russell especially, Q2 like 9 times this season, beating 5 or more cars in qualifying, regularly in practice, in and amongst that, the back half of the grid, and then in races. Yes, he's made a couple mistakes. Yes, he hasn't scored points, but he's there or thereabouts, 12th, 13th, 11th, race after race after race with 20 cars in the grid. The Williams is still slow. The Williams is still among, if not the slowest. But they've closed that gap to the point where they are competitive. Long story short, that's where our team is at, I think, this season. We've gone from so far back that it's hard to compete. We pulled off some miracles. I think it's going to be a lot easier to pull off that type of result this season for this team. We're still slow. We're still at the back of the grid. We're still one of the worst teams. But we're better to a point where the tangibles that I bring will make us competitive. Let's get to the season. So our season opener happens to also be a sponsor objective. It's the 967 Cycle Challenge. We needed top 10 for this classic race. It's classified as punchy, and for good reason. It's relatively flat, not a whole lot of undulation, but it definitely finishes on a punchy climb. And it's not just a punchy climb. It's 2.5K. First part of that's not so bad, that first half kilometer, but then you got 2 solid climbing kilometers, maxing out at nearly 12%, averaging nearly 9%. So, and that includes that first half K, right? You're definitely over 9 for the final 2 kilometers, which means it's not just a puncher's day, right? If I went purely for a puncher who had a terrible mountain rating, they'd they'd be done before the end of that climb. So I need a combo. I need somebody who has a strong mountain rating, who can make it through that first 1.5K and then compete in the final kilometer, but need that punch rating to try to squeeze into that top 10. So race day condition will definitely matter on a day like this. This is not a stage race, so I don't need to worry about tomorrow. So Mamalenti, a 64-68 today with okay resistance. That's somebody who can climb a bit and has a little bit of punch for that final kilometer. So Mamalenti is certainly a contender for the role. Clevenger at 65-63 today. Good resistance, but not enough punch for that final K, so that's definitely going to be a support rider. Let's go ahead and protect Mamalenti then, since we know that's going to be one of our choices. Vanderpeet, our top rider overall, 68 mountain, could definitely still be in it late. 61 hill though. This is maybe our lead out rider. Great resistance. Doesn't have the hill rating, but can support whoever right till the end on this one, as that is our top climber. Good flat rating also on the lead up to that final climb. Marie, 63-62. That's definitely one of the weaker riders here today, so let's go ahead and protect Vanderpeet. Finally, we have Brookshire, who's on a +4 today. As we go and hit our first climb of the day, got to keep an eye, make sure we're not drifting too far back. We're doing okay here, largely because I have better climbers than I had a year ago. Our best climber from a year ago isn't even here right now, Sheer. So Brookshire, 67 mountain today. That's really nice, really nice. And the hills into the low 60s, resistance up to a 69. Donadin should be one of our top climbers, but a 65-64, not quite there. So actually they're going to switch from what would be expected. And there you go. So Mamalenti is who we're going to try to ride for on this one with that 68 hill rating and just enough mountain. That resistance is pretty low, so she's going to have to go pretty late on this one. But Vanderpeet should get her to the final 500 meters. Brookshire should be able to get us on the lower slopes. Donadin right at the beginning of the slopes. And then that gives us Clevenger and Marie for the build-up on this one towards the finish. And hopefully we've still got everybody left. So we have 94 in the peloton. 2-minute gap to a breakaway of 14. And I sped up a bit. Mamalenti's drifting backward. Not a great climber. But we want to conserve energy as best we can. You can already see quite a bit of fatigue in the group. Got to remember, these women's tour races are often shorter, and so they're more intense from the get-go. And we have some pretty low ratings, which means we tend to struggle from the get-go. And so we don't always get everyone to the end. Clevenger, Valenti, how you doing here? It's the last climb before the climb. And wait. Speed it up. She is risking getting dropped here. Malenti, don't just hold position. Effort up. Literally that gap nearly just opened. Marie's going backwards because Marie's out of energy. So is Donadin. I don't see Donadin. Donadin's somehow behind us here. We're almost hitting the top on this, so we'll be okay. It looks like Marie and surprisingly Donadin are not going to make it. Donadin's -2 having its impact. Peloton down to 76. Donadin is dropped. Has the chance of getting back in here, though. Be nice if she does, if they recover a bit. Mamalenti still trying to recover to get to the front. We'll back off a little bit on that. But now that we're using that, we need to finish that task and get up here. Somebody's going to have to go fetch some water. 46k to go. It's a good time for that. But it's got to be somebody, Brookshire, who has enough energy to do so. Donadin, I don't think Donadin's going to make it back. 1.5 minutes. Keep an eye on that gap for a moment. Peloton's not chasing hard right now, but Donadin has no energy, so it's really hard to try to manage that gap, even though we're on the flat. And we're only 3 riders left in the break. But they have 1:15, so we can't exactly sit up. Marie Clavenger just starting to recover.
So this is the last third of the race. Anyone who is gunning for victory has got to make a move fairly soon.
And finally, water complete.
There's a sustained rhythm at the
How's that gap
Some
looking?
riders definitely won't be able to keep up.
Not good. It's growing. Donaden not going to make it. Kajihara, who she was riding with, has left her in the dust, and it looks like she's not going to make it either. But Marie Clavenger recovering. Vanderpeet's looking good. Brookshire's looking good. Mama Lenti's not looking great. That's what I worry about on that final climb. So we've got to keep Vanderpeet just in case for that last little bit. But it's only 2K, so Mama Lenti hopefully can get through that 2K and have a little bit left. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we go into that final climb. Okay, here's a little false flat section. It's not categorized, but it's definitely being attacked pretty hard. So we better step up to the challenge here. Mama Lenti, a little extra for you. Marie Clavenger, this could be it. They could be dropped on this little acceleration right here. Wow. One little uphill acceleration, and there is a big split. Vanderpeet, the only one in the front group at the moment. The good thing, though, if we're going to get a top 10, is all of a sudden she's down to the last really 20 contenders because those 3 at the front. I don't expect that they would contend, but we do see a big chase right now to bridge that gap, bring it back together. Donaden has linked up with a group. Clavenger and Marie, looks like they are going to be dropped by this. Gap still hasn't been bridged. Everybody's riding this little downhill right now. Brookshire and Mamalenti, I'd like to get them back up there to support Vanderpeet, but at the same time, I like the idea of 50 riders being dropped a little bit better. And Vanderpeet just going for it herself, but there you go. It's all back together. Clavenger, Marie are here. Let's go ahead and go back to protecting our top 2.
Only 10 kilometers left.
And we're into the final 10K. There's the breakaway finally. Gaps behind. Is it shrinking? No, it's holding. Alright. So this is going to be it. 8K to go. We're going to set ourselves up quite soon here. We've still got a little while. It's just a 2.5K climb. Alright. Time to get organized. Mamalenti definitely there for that final push. Earlier Clavenger was looking better than Marie, but right now they're about the same. No, they're not. Marie first. Right, not 99, but you're definitely going to use your gel, as is Clavenger now. Just a little bit early so that we don't drop back. There we go. And now ease to the front. 5K to go. Gel for Brookshire. Gel for Vanderpeet. Gel for Mamalenti. Marie's already done. Marie's done. On to... Oops. What I was trying to do. There we go. On to Clavenger. 3.5K to go, and we've lost our strong position here. Come on, Clavenger. Alright, on to Brookshire, right at the base of the climb. This is the climb. There's no turn. This is the climb. You can see how it's going to, after this intersection, kind of gently ramps up, and then boom, off we go. So, Brookshire's got to lead this out, and we definitely don't want to go 99. We've got to last just a little bit here. It's only 3 riders. Okay, 1.5. Now we want to speed up a little bit. Come on, Brookshire. Come on, Brookshire. 1.4. 1.4. Oh, maybe I should have gone 99. 1.1. 900 meters. Vanderpeet, it's 700 meters. Can you sprint and get anything for us? Bring up Mamalanti. Mamalanti, 500 meters. Come on. Come on. I don't think we're in the top 10 right now. Brookshire's the highest placed. And Mamalanti is coming fast. We're going to be top 25. We're going to be top 25. Mamalanti is definitely going upward. Continuing to go in an upward direction, but it's going to miss the top 10. Yoshikawa, Hickey, Cipriano, Deal. And I've got some work to do on the database. So I knew this was an issue last season. I didn't know it was an issue this season. Brookshire gets 14th. Mamalanti gets 15th. So we missed the top 10, but not by much. Vanderpeet got 20th. All three of them in the top 25, but none in the top 10. Last season, I knew how to do this. So I'm going to have to go and check again. Take care of this because we've got a number of male riders that have now been introduced as new gen riders, and we're going to have to go in and manually remove those from the database. All right, well, first one, not a success, but not a massive failure. It's a partial failure. We did get top 25. And this was the kind of race that we were nowhere near competitive in a season. Gert Laxiri, that was a rider I was definitely looking at and targeting, got 8th place on this one. But most of the riders in the top 10 were those male new gen riders, and yeah, we'll have to figure out something about that. I figure that's a good stopping point. We actually have over a month until our next race, as it's early January still. So I'm going to get that sorted out, and we'll push forward into that next month, and we should cruise through Season 2 like we did through Season 1, but we have a much busier calendar this season than we had last season. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.